Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another episode of Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive. My name is Erin Chandler, and I am so grateful that you are joining me here on this channel. I have a very potent and pure message cloaked in the Christ white light, all lines of communication from Archangel Zadkiel and Archangel Azrael at this time, for all of you benevolent beings who are moving on the path of your spiritual ascension. Archangel Zadkiel comes as the angel of mercy and surrender at this time, flanked with Archangel Azrael, because that is the angel of death and rebirth. So Archangel Zadkiel says, I must be here for the moments, working hand in hand. They're showing me Zadkiel and Azrael hand in hand. They're actually showing me it must be so, for in the process of death and rebirth, there must be surrender. Oh Lord, have mercy, 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 is this song lyrics it's playing. So the surrender piece, Archangel Zadkiel says, is important. You are being called at this time. Surrender is twofold. We are taking the first dimension and the second dimension, and we are reconciling the duality of the two of them in the third dimension, coming into the Holy Trinity of the Self. This requires surrendering on the dualistic part. He's saying on the dualistic partition, or the great divide of what was and what will be, who you were and who you are. He says there is the surrender, the peace of surrender, which is when the tree falls and it decays in the ground. He says it is when the ascension of the spirit leaves the body, when the body ceases to breathe. It is because the spirit has released it, not that the body has stopped and that is the end. The spirit releases it in order to transcend back into its unified form, the true wave form of the I am presence of the great spirit that resides within all of us, no longer the individuated form. The process of the spiritual ascension requires a surrendering of bad habits, I'm hearing for some of you. It is a surrendering of that which was. It is a surrendering of holding on to guilt, shame. I'm hearing persecution. It is surrendering the lifetimes of persecution that you have endured. It is surrendering the fear and the shame and the guilt of your journey and who you are. But so too comes the opposite side of surrender. It is a surrendering into the love. It is surrendering into the Christ consciousness. It is surrendering into the flow of the divine, into the unity of the Great Spirit, into the essence of your I am one. So we are both surrendering our old shoes. I have Jesus here now, the energy of Lord Jesus Christ. It is Zadkiel comes to help you surrender your old version, your old identities, the old hurts, the old wounds, both of the present life, but also of the past. For you are doing both at the same time. It is a culmination of releasing all that was, both in this life and that, from the present moment of consciousness and the past moments of consciousness. Zadkiel says, step forward in all the essences, in all the lifetimes, in all the consciousness that are hanging on to this old version, the persecution, the shame, the judgment. We surrender that now. Surrendering. I'm seeing Jesus take some of you taking your old shoes away. We're surrendering it. You must be willing to surrender it. This is a key. This is free will. It is your choice to surrender it or hang on to it. But the spiritual ascension process requires the surrendering of the old shoes. So too, once those are released, only then, only then can you move into the surrendering, slipping on the new shoes, surrendering into the divine, into grace, into joy, surrendering into peace, surrendering into acceptance. Only then can your new shoes be placed upon your feet. Only then will you be able to see those shoes. It is that's part of the spiritual ascension process. It is part of the journey. For the death and the rebirth cannot happen if one holds tightly, gripping, grasping, out of fear, out of the mystery of the unknown, grasping onto those old shoes. I'm literally seeing one of your spirits. It's like, no, I don't. If I let go of those shoes, I do not know who I am. I do not know who I am without the struggle. I do not know who I am without that pain and that wounding. It's all I've known. And somebody else is hanging on to it grossly, tightly, like fiercely. I'm seeing, it's weird, I'm seeing claw marks into this version of who you were, the old shoes. The next phase of the journey is not like the rest. It is not like your last 22 lifetimes of persecution, hanging, burning, the silencing. It is not like that in this next phase. You must be willing to accept that the past is in the past. Let it go, let it go. That's Elsa and Aunt Elsa from the movie Frozen. Don't hold it back anymore. It's like release those shoes. Release lifetimes of chains. If you wondered why this was so difficult, Archangel Zadkiel says, I am not just of surrender, I am of mercy. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You cannot change the past, my love. Only now, by releasing it, can you move into, have mercy, call in grace. Only when we are willing to surrender those things, surrender the past. Let it go, let it go. Acceptance is part of the pillars of transcendence. You have the choice of free will to hang on tightly and stay there, or to release. This pair of shoes is waiting for you, whether you choose to move into it or whether you cling to the old. Archangel Zadkiel comes to, they're showing me cloaking you in white light. Cloaking you in the white light. Almost like, please make this choice. Unburden, choose to unburden, choose to unchain yourself, unhook yourself from lifetimes, thousands of years, ancient histories of this, so that you may step into the golden era and the golden age, that which you are, that which you have always been, underneath all of those lifetimes. Those 22, the last 22 lifetimes have been incredibly difficult on the earth plane. For most of you, some are 15, I'm hearing 15. It's a significant number for you. This is the culmination, this is the lifetime, this is the great awakening. This is what you're here for, to move into the beauty and the serenity of the next phase of the journey. Allow yourself, surrender. So too must you surrender the shoes, but also you must surrender into the light of the new shoes to be placed upon you. The era, the golden era, the age of Aquarius, the light shoes, the wisdom. Archangel Azrael stands in the middle of the death and the rebirth. He says, I stand as the middle path of death and rebirth, the transition point. And Zadkiel, my brother, he says, Zadkiel moves first on this side before the death is the releasing of the shoes. And then as we transition, he moves over to this side, surrendering into the light and the love in that physical embodied aspect. In the angelical realms, we work together. Different archangels will come to you for different phases of your journey. Archangel Ariel is raising her hand. I come for the excitement. I come for the joy. I come for the courage. I speak with the consciousness of the lions that step in. I'm seeing the sign of Aries, which is that first root red fire. The ignition, the starter, all of those things come into play, but only when we release the shoes and surrender into the Christ consciousness, or the new pair of shoes, the golden era, releasing the bindings of the past. This is when the consciousness of the lion steps forward. After this transition state, he says, first there is Zadkiel, who helps you release the shoes. Then comes Azrael, which switches from the death to the rebirth. Zadkiel steps in once more, dawning you, surrendering you into the love and the light of this transition. And then the consciousness of the lion steps forward. Lyran, I'm hearing, or Lyra, consciousness, starseed, galactic systems. They are very acutely aware of spiritual warfare, the different aspects of the ignition of creation. They step forward in that next phase. So too is Aries. The house of Aries, I'm hearing, comes with the ignition and the fire of creation to create anew. Once we have surrendered into those new shoes, step lightly, my dear. Step lightly, for the lion walks with you. I'm literally seeing an image from a post I did a long time ago. I'll have to go and find it. I'll link it in the bottom. My assumption is this post is important. It's a channel, because the image is of a woman with holding a fire starter candle, and walks with the lion beside her. So I will link that in the comments if you feel called to read that channel. At this moment, I cannot recall what the channel is about. I'm just being told it is of relevance. So I will link that into this video. Know that Archangel Zadkiel, Archangel Azrael, and the consciousness of the lions, the lion sphere of consciousness, is walking with you as you move through this bravery, courage, and starting on a new foot, taking control. Everything is moving beautifully along the timelines, along the ascension process for each and every one of you. It is moving beautifully, all of the archangels stepping forwards. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, Mia. Settle into that. Settle into the flow of the angelical realms. I'm also being told, those of you who have experienced significant spiritual warfare, who see what happens in the dark, the candles in the dark, you are intended to see those things, not because you are being persecuted, but to illuminate that which is happening in the dark. It is, you have been divinely shielded and protected. I can literally hear and see people having rings of divine light being shielded, hearing prayers going out for all different people, including myself. Thank you, shielding and protecting those along the spiritual ascension path so that it is not removed, interfered with, or negated from. All paths lead home. Every path is shielded and divinely protected at this time from any dark, dense, heavy, negative energy, so that you may move through the angelical realms without fear. You may surrender the old and surrender into the new at both times. The death and the rebirth, both sides of the coin, the yin and the yang. This channel is complete. Thank you for being here with me, beautiful souls, as you surrender the old and surrender into the new. And I hope you receive this transmission from the angelical realms, specifically for you. Until next time, bye, friends.